Hi everyone, it's Joy, and we're going to make a fabulous card today. So you probably saw this one in my Instagram hop today. We're going to use the same products but make a completely different look to our card. So we have the Petals of Beauty, and we have the Words of Beauty along with the Birchwood 3D embossing folder. The Petals of Beauty and the Words of Beauty are both online exclusives, which only means that you can see them on the website. You can't see them in any of our fabulous catalogs. Anyway, so the Petals of Beauty is a die bundle. And it has all these fabulous dies. We're going to be working with some of those today. And then the Words of Beauty has all these great words, but then it has these great dies and it cuts out the just because it looks really fun and fancy. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Like I said, I used some of the detail die cuts from the Petals of Beauty to make this card here, and then I used the It's Your Birthday from the Words of Beauty stamp set for this one. This was our peach pie monochromatic Instagram hop today, and so that's why it looks very peachy. But we are going to change the colors up. We're going to use kind of the same layout. We're going to tweak it just a little bit, but we're going to change the colors up. And we're going to have a card base of Berry Burst. So this is our standard card base, and it is 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches, and then scored at the 4 1/4 inch mark. And that is half of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. That is the A2 size that we use here in the United States. So if you're watching me from another country, your measurements will be slightly different, but I think you can figure that out. It will be easy enough. So let's go ahead. Use our bone tool to get a nice little crease in our card base. And then let's bring in some of our other layers that we need. We need an inside layer, and that is in basic white, and that is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. That is our inside layer. And then we have a layer of basic gray, and that is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. We also have another basic white layer that I have run through the um, embossing folder, the Birchwood 3D embossing folder. And that one is 3.5 inches by 4 3/4 inches, so 1/4 inch smaller. Gives us a nice little 1/8 of an inch all around mat. So we have that one there. And I am going to use the debossed side of this versus the embossed side. Sometimes you just like the debossed side slightly better. And I need a scrap piece big enough to stamp a flower and a center and leaf on. And then I need a piece big enough to die cut out my just and my because. And I need a piece of adhesive sheet. Have you ever used the adhesive sheets? They're absolutely wonderful, especially when you have very detailed dies. I love them. And so I cut a piece of adhesive sheet to put on the back of this scrap, just the right size, and this is going to go on the back side. So you can peel one side off, and you can just line it up in here. Yes, I did do it slightly smaller than my piece, just so you could kind of see that I've got it on here. And then the other piece comes off like that. So then you have this nice little piece on the back, and we will run that through the die cut machine. And then I need another scrap piece of basic white. So let me get out my dies so you can see what I'm talking about. So these are the Words of Beauty dies. And we need the, for the white, we don't need adhesive sheet in the back of that. We need the we're going to need another piece. We need another piece. Let me get my scrap pile out here and get another piece. So is this one will this one fit on this one? It will. Okay, so we need 2 scrap pieces for this. So we need one for our just and one for our because. These are the outline pieces. So we need those 2, and we need a little bit of washi tape. So I'm going to grab some here. Need a couple pieces of washi tape here. And I'm going to take a little bit of the sticky off. Use kind of some of the oil on my hands to get a little bit of that sticky off so that I don't tear my paper. And we're going to tape that down. So there we have those 2 going on. Now these, we need the just and the because. So we have a piece big enough for that. Just the just and the because. And that's all we need there, and we do need some more washi tape. Let's go ahead. I think I'm going to get a piece big enough to do both of these at the same time. So getting a piece, taking some of the oil off so that I don't tear my paper. Excuse me. And I'm just going to adhere those down, and then we will run those through the embossing machine. I mean, not the embossing machine, the die cut machine. Oh my goodness. For some reason, I have a frog in my throat this morning, but I'm so glad that you're joining me. And I'm going to get out the mini, and I'm going to get out the plates that I like to use for the mini. And I'm just going to open that up. I like to use my number 3 plate as my base plate, and then 2 of my number 2s. I flip them back and forth so that I can extend the life of my cutting plates. So let's get one number 2 on the bottom, and we're going to run this one through. So we're just going to run this through. Make sure it cut all the way through. It looks like it did. And then we're going to do my just and my because. I think I can run those both at the same time. Flip that over. And now we have those cut out. Put my die cutting machine away. And then we have our dies here and our little die cut pieces. So we have our because background and we have our just background. These are both in the basic white. And please do go ahead if you're watching this either live or on replay, and do make comments, because I absolutely love your comments. I do go back and I respond to them and I reply to them. So I just love them. So please do make comments. And we're going to get this off here. So we have our just and our because. Now you do have to be careful of this little dot here. And it is sticking right there. And it's still hanging out in my die. And let me put these dies away before I forget. I do not want to lose one of them because I forgot to put it away. Okay, this one's going to go upside down. And the because is going to go right in here. It fits right there. And then we have our just. That one goes right here. And we have to get that out. So let's use our take your pick tool. And let's leave that here for a moment. And let's get our just from our adhesive sheet here. So we're going to pull this up. We can pull this away from our the backing on our adhesive sheet. We're going to just line this up with an even border around the best we can get. Just kind of move this around till it's where you want it. And now we're going to deal with our little dot here. Okay, paper's off. Now there we have it. Pick that up. And that is going to go right here. So I always deal with that as soon as I think about it so that I don't lose that little dot. Now if you do lose your little dot, you can always just color in a little dot with a marker or use a gem to dot the J. Alright, so let's get our next one here. We're going to get our because off of our adhesive sheet here. I'm going to use my take your pick tool to help me out a little bit. Well, I'm going to go on the back side. That will probably be better. Come on. There we go. Nope, that's still stuck to the B. Alright, didn't realize we were going to have to do a little surgery. Okay, let's just get this out. Sometimes I like to leave it in, but let's just get this out for now. And let's just use the pointy end of the take your pick tool to try to get that paper up. There we go. There's the paper coming off. And we have a little dot on my E. The little inside of my E needs to come out and not stick to the back. There we go. Alright. Now we're going to line this up the same way we did our just. So we have our just and our because. And you can move this around a little bit. It is a little forgiving. And get it where you want it. So we have our just and our because all ready to go. I'm going to get rid of some of this trash so we can have a little bit of a clean surface here. I'm going to just dump that in a little trash can I have down below my table. And we're going to put the dies away so that we don't lose them. Alright, now, like I said, I did go ahead and I did emboss this basic white piece with the Birchwood 3D embossing folder. we are going to go ahead and attach that. Just going to use some seal. It'll be a little faster that way, a little less messy. I often like to use the liquid glue because it does have a little more forgiveness as you're trying to line this up. And then we've got our card base, and we need to stamp. Where did my piece go? There it is. I'm going to stamp some images. I have Bubble Bath, Berry Burst, which is the color of my card base, Daffodil Delight, Granny Apple Green, and Old Olive. So I'm going to stamp some of those on the leaf. I'm just going to stamp the large solid image first. And I think I want a piercing mat underneath, because this is a very large solid image. And I have my old olive ink pad. This is my old tried and true, still the old ink pad case, but like I've said before, if it still works and they still carry a refill for it, why not use it? Just making sure that I get good coverage. I am just tapping. I'm not pushing in to my ink pad. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to do this one right here. And I did that wrong. Paper has two sides, and I do not want Old Olive. I need to blot this. I want Granny Apple Green first with the solid image. So I'm just going to blot this really well. Get that Old Olive ink cleaned off of it. And then I'm going to use my Granny Apple Green for the nice solid image. So this is, you know, go ahead and, you know, watch my video, learn from my mistakes, and then carry on. There we go, Granny Apple Green. That's great. And then we have a detail part of our leaf, and we want that in Old Olive. And again, I'm just tapping. And we're going to line this up the best we can. And there we have our, and yes, there is, it looks like it didn't catch all the ink, but that is part of the stamp. That's part of the detail of the stamp. So do not worry about that. And, oh, on the back side of this, I put my little inside of my flower, my little flower center. And we're going to use Daffodil Delight for that one. I'm going to stamp that one. And then we want, yes, we want to do the Berry Burst for a darker detail part of our stamp. So it is a two-step stamp. So you can see they have solid images and then more detailed images. And I'm going to do the detailed image first, because I found it is easier to line up the solid image if you have the detailed image to go by. So that is a tip for you today. We're going to do that in Berry Burst. We're going to try to get as much of that off as we can before we finish cleaning it later off camera. Whoops, that was noisy. And then we're going to take the nice solid image of this flower and the bubble bath ink pad. We're going to get a good amount of ink on that. Again, tapping but not pushing into the pad. Get good coverage. And then we're going to line this up. And we're going to use that detailed outline to help us. Let the ink soak into the pad. Beautiful. So there we have our images. And then, via the power of video, voila, we have die cut ones so that you don't have to watch me do more die cutting. So we have our nice die cut images, and we have our just and our because, and we are going to, I have one, what, I am not going to worry about it. There we go. So we have to put our just and our because on first, and I do think I want dimensionals, so I'm going to grab some of the mini dimensionals, because you know me, I absolutely love, you know what, I think I'm going to do that on the flower and not on that part. Okay, change my mind midstream, that's absolutely fine. I am going to use the liquid glue. I'm going to put this in the center here. We're going to put my because on first. And we're going to get that on here, just like so. And then we need the just, because this is going to be a just because card. How did I do this before? I had this all planned out in my head, guys. Now I think I'm going to moving it around a little bit. I think I want that there. And this is going to go over here. That's right. That's how I had it. I kind of planned this out last night. There we go. That's better. And I'm going to, this just needs just a little bit of an angle, I think. So because this is kind of fancy scripty, it isn't going to line up exactly. Whoops. And now we need some dimensionals. These are going to go on the back of this flower, and I think I just need one on the back of this one here for the mini. And then do I have regular size? I know I do. Let's just grab some out of a brand new package. Cut the side off here. It's just a little easier to slide it in and out that way. And get a brand new package. Do any of you like using the brand new package and like, oh, the first time? It's such a thrill. And as you know, I like full coverage on my die cuts on the dimensionals. So that one's going to go down without dimensionals. Uh-oh, where'd my little... Uh-oh. Huh? Somehow, some way, I lost my little flower center. Well, I have one I can die cut out. Wouldn't you know? Oh, there it is. I found it. Found it. Yay. Okay. So this is going to go on right about there. I think I'm going to put my flower on first and then figure out where that one goes. So I'm not going to stick it down all the way. Yes, I am using my fingernails to get these papers off this time. So we need this flower right about there. It's not stuck down real good. We're going to use some liquid glue for our leaf here. And this is going to tuck underneath. Right about so. Then we have our little paper on the back of this centerpiece, back of this dimensional. It's going to go right there. So isn't that pretty? Now I'm going to grab some black dimensionals just because I happen to have them here. Sometimes I like black for dark cardstock. And yes, I use lots of them because I don't like saggy parts, and dimensionals are cheap. Just going to use some edge pieces here. Okay, now I'm going to grab this, get these off lickety split. And I'm going to put this on my card front, leaving an even border all the way around, the best that I can. And I'm going to bring in some of the purple fine shimmer gems. The colors are Berry Burst, Gorgeous Grape, and Highland Heather. So I'm going to grab some Berry Burst ones. Okay, fix the end of the putty. Come on, there we go. I think we can put one right here. And then we need a couple more. I think I want another one of these. And they're not pushed down real hard yet, in case I want to change them. But you know what? I think I kind of like that. So we have our Berry Burst gems on here. And there's no ribbon. Didn't have to do any ribbon tying. Now, we want to do a little something for the inside of our card, just to make it extra special and bring a little bit of the outside to the inside. I'm going to bring in my flower stamp again. Yes, I need the Berry Burst. And I need a scrap piece of paper underneath me because I'm going to go off just a little bit, like so. So now we have brought a little bit of the outside to the inside, and I'm also going to bring in that bubble bath color as well. And we're going to line this up. So now we have a beautiful flower on the inside as well as one on the outside. And I'm going to go ahead and attach this to the inside of my card using some of my Stampin' Seal. Alright, there we have our finished card today, made with the Petals of Beauty and the Words of Beauty. And I'll go ahead and let you take a look at this peach pie monochromatic one as well that has the dies. I could absolutely go ahead and do this in another color like Berry Burst or maybe Azure Afternoon. That would be pretty as well. So I hope you've enjoyed my presentation, and until next week, we'll talk to you later. Bye.